This was one of those little sticky type frogs. They stick to you like glue. And he jumped onto my shirt just before I took off, went down my leg and stayed there for the entire flight. If you got a headset, stick it on your head, Fred. We got 4 music videos in this. Amazon, and before you get started, I know I got the red light on the wrong side and the green one too. That's my floodlights. I got one on the outboard of each wing. That's the spotlights. They light up the runway from 300 feet. And total cost of that was $14.99 for both. That's the control panel, and it was an electrical nightmare, let me tell you. The schematic was basically non-existent. You had an input, output, and 4,000 wires going everywhere. That's the floodlights on each wing. The spotlights up front, they light up the runway from 300 feet, and the floodlights come in about 250. If it wasn't for my brother-in-law, who's a technical whiz and a ex-SR-71 Blackbird mechanic, I could never have done it. These are the same strobes that appear on a cop car when they're behind you and fixing to pull you over to give you a ticket. They certainly get your attention. This is a 3-burst strobe effect, but it comes in 50 different patterns, all selectable from the cockpit, or you can put it on automatic and they'll select themselves and go from one to the other. My cost was $175. Had it been FAA approved, it would have been around $3,000, but as it was, all it cost me was about 3,000 cuss words. I like to fly at night. You just have to trust that Rotax 503 to keep turning back there. Landing spots, as you can see, are kind of hard to find. But I got a selfie here. I'm taking a look at my headlights just for the heck of it. And that's one of my floodlights out on the left wing. Doing 50 miles per hour, 5,000 RPM on a Rotax 503. My shoulder strap's flapping in the wind. I need to do something about that. And there's beautiful Ocklackney Bay down below with my right floodlight, one of the last not overrun parts of Florida that's left in the Great Panhandle with the folks that put Trump in office. Thank God for that. Sometimes I wish I could wear my crash helmet 24 hours a day to keep people from seeing how old I am. I'll spare you the grunting and groaning I did to get in that cockpit too. I usually keep it in ground effect, get it up to about 70 miles an hour, then pull it up into a real steep climb. I get about 250 to 300 feet. And this is me looking into my cell phone to see if one of my cameras is working. And I can tell you it's usually not. It's a run cam. It's a piece of junk. Yeah, it keeps wanting to go to the left now with all the junk I got hanging off of it. I got to correct that with rudder trim and trying to get it adjusted to where it gets a view of the cockpit and the surface below about 2,500 feet down there. And here I am taking a video of a video camera pointed back at me. A proper angle. But that's our little community there of Ocklackney Bay, just off the nose. Real nice place on the as yet not overrun, not overcrowded coast of northwest Florida in the Panhandle. We've had some beautiful days here in November of 2017. Really pretty. That's a nice drone shot of our hangars at the bottom, the runway, and the bay on the left. We got a great bunch of guys. Nobody gets out alive, everybody gets made fun of, and if you don't like it, you can step outside. Yeah, we even have our own Civil War veteran, 165-year-old Dr. Paul Turner, fought with Colonel John Mosby in the Shenandoah Valley. Phil Sheridan never could track him down. He's alive and well in North Florida. It was manufactured by a guy named Dan Gorman of Brockton, Massachusetts. He did a fantastic job. The camera movement was really smooth. The only drawback I could say about it was that it was heavy. It weighed about 8 or 9 pounds. But with the Max Air, I didn't have any trouble whatsoever with it. You know, with the weight, even mounted way out on the wing, and I had mounting poles mounted all over this thing. And I never had any trouble. I thought I would, because putting 8 or 9 pounds way out on the end of the wing, I thought I would have trouble, but I didn't. The Max Air is a fantastic aircraft. It's really adaptable to any situation. Here's something funny coming up. This was what you call a bad day. It was on a lake somewhere in South Louisiana. I can't remember the name of the lake, but it doesn't matter, because Even to this day, I don't understand what I was trying to do. I know I was trying to taxi it up onto that sandbar. Why I did it this way, I have no idea. But what I usually did was bring it in with the floats, with the gear up, and check out the sand at the water's edge to see if it's soft. Well, this day, for some stupid reason, I decided not to. And this went on for hours. It was just one of them days when, I don't know, my brain was disengaged. I don't know what. But see, all I had to do here is dig a hole for each wheel and retract that gear. You can do it by hand if you're strong enough. And you see I'm digging holes. I'm moving about 3 inches forward on each wheel. And I go back the other side and move about 3 inches forward on that wheel. In the meantime, my engine is running wide at high power. Oh, it was just a mess. And I'm going to try and speed it up even faster here, so you don't have to look. You can see I'm getting wet. I'm getting sand all over me. And I'm glad you can't hear all the cussing I do, because I can do a good bit of cussing when I get mad. But it just goes on and on and on, one agonizing minute after another. And here I am, I'm almost up on the sand. You can see my poor airplane. It's probably, if it could talk, it would have said, "What the heck is this idiot doing? What is he doing to me?" I don't know what I was thinking. Let me see if I can get it spit. Now, it's already at 100%. I can't get it speeded up. All right. There we go. I got one wheel up. I was going to speed it. Okay, now it's up there. That took, well, it says here only 5 minutes. But it continues on. There we go. All right, I made it up on the sand. I think what my thoughts were that it looked hard up on the surface, so I figured that the shore was also hard. Well, of course it wasn't, as you can see. Now this here, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm running around. Oh, almost nosed it over. I need to add some crazy music to this, because it was a crazy day. And now I'm stuck in the sand up on the beach. Up on the sandbar. This could be an offshoot of the Mississippi River. So here I am stuck again. You can see the sun is starting to get low in the sky. Still going. Now I'm trying to get it off the sandbar, of course. Now this is dangerous too. Now I got my engine running at high RPM. to be taking off out of Lake Maurepas, if you're still with me. That's near Lake Pontchartrain, which is right across from New Orleans, Louisiana. If you ever want to get your throat cut, that's a good place to get it done. But we're going to be headed down to Venice, to Fort Belize, the site of the first lighthouse in the United States in the 1700s. It was also a customs entry point. Later, we're going to be going to Fort San Felipe, as it was called during Spanish acquisition of Louisiana, now called Fort St. Philip. That's a gun mount from the early 1900s. These were heavy caliber guns meant to fire at ships coming up the river. It turned back a British invasion during the Revolutionary War and almost turned back Admiral Farragut in the Civil War. Came very close to doing that. A lot of antiques still out there. As an old tractor. We're heavily loaded, still working on getting off of Lake Maurepas, but that's a steam-driven tractor. That thing must weigh a ton, well, several tons, I would imagine. Must have taken a heck of a job to get it out there, too. But I'm finally off, but not without telling you about my cargo pod I was so proud of. I should have kept that thing, but I had a expert sheet metal man build it for me. I designed it and it worked out extremely well. I had a 65 horsepower on this aircraft. Had more horsepower, of course, than a 503, but you could cram anything in that cargo pod you wanted to and it'd carry it along with the floats. That's Big Al. He's ready to go on another flight with me. He always accompanied me, and sometimes it was nice to have him along, especially when you go down to spooky places like Fort St. Philip. That was one weird place. But I eventually sold this to a guy in California who was associated with James Cameron, and they were going to take it out into the Pacific Ocean and use it as an aerial platform, but I told them not to, that it was a light aircraft, you know. But they did it anyway. It ended up in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, you tell them, Al. You guys be careful out there. I've been flying these things for almost 50 years. I know what they'll take and not, but that still don't make it right. Y'all be careful. We'll see you next trip. I enjoyed it and hope y'all did too. I gotta promote my book. It's about some wild flying down on the Texas-Mexico border during the 1980s. I wasn't an old fart all my life, you know.